Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you. I am working with Click Kit items today. In fact, I'm working with the Hipster Christmas kit that I got. It is full of all kinds of wonderful colors, and I've decided to use primarily this kit with a few items from my stash for my December daily this year, which I am doing in a traveler's notebook format. So you're seeing me trying to decide. That is actually day two, the tree. And I'm kind of doing day one and day two together. I'm going to start. I knew I wanted the tree to be on the left side. So I was looking for papers that I've already cut at 8.25 by 4.25 inches. And I've already cut them and I put them all in the traveler's notebook that I purchased from Color Cast Designs, and it comes with 2 rings. And that's the format that I'm using this year. And so I've already cut all of the papers, and I kind of know maybe not what order they're going to be in, but the pages that are going to kind of go face each other. And my hope is that I will actually do like page 1 on one side of the page 2 on the other side of the page, and so on, instead of doing a full page spread for each day. But because the Christmas tree was going to be on the left side, I wanted to, because of the way it's framed and so on, I just decided that I would go ahead and day 1 and day 2, which is what this video is all about, are going to be both full page spreads. So what I've done so far is I went through at the very beginning there. You saw me just kind of going through the papers to try to find papers that would work with the photograph, with the story that I'm telling for day 1. And then I went through the ephemera that comes in the kit, and I pulled out a couple of tags and a couple of other little things that I thought I might use. Those things there on the right. Um, Things that I've added kind of into I've added to the kit a little bit are some numbers that I got that are gold. You can see those there, and then some flair from a Flair for Buttons, and a few other elements from Color Cast Design. So um, I will be using primarily those things, the kit with those few little added things throughout the whole December daily, I'm thinking. So I'm adding a little bit of tissue paper behind my photo like I usually do. It just gives a nice layer. And I'm laying a couple tags behind my picture. And then I decided on putting the journaling over on the right side. And because my journaling is a little bit about us being stuck in the house on this day, because it rained the entire day, I thought it was appropriate to put that little house there. Plus, the house is kind of the same color. It's kind of that bluish green aqua color. And so I thought I would put that little house over on the right side. It brings that color from the left side over to the right. Um, and you might have noticed that I'm using a piece of white cardstock basically as my background, and then I'm adding paper over the top because the white cardstock is going to go behind the photo that's going to be on day 2, and you'll see that as they come. So I knew I needed to put some string in the other um, tag, and so this tag was extra long, or this string was extra long in the white tag, which the white tag came in the kit. I decided that I would just cut it in half, and that worked out perfectly. And then it's not all going to be seen, and because this is in a traveler's notebook format, I didn't want it too bulky, although I will use some bulky items as we go. But if I can, I'm going to go ahead and just cut some things up and behind the photo so it's not too bulky. Let's see. So my journaling for this one, the story that I'm telling, it says Uno for the first day of December. You see what I did there? We played a lot of Uno that day, but it's also day 1. Get it? Anyway, Uno for the first day of December. It was raining all day today, all day, and so B was very bored. Uno to the rescue. I won some, she won some, and we both laughed and enjoyed each other's success. And then it says Uno. I will put, let's see, what am I doing here? Oh, I'm stamping. I also found a stamp in my stash that says "Joy is." I believe it came from an Allie Edwards kit, possibly a Christmas, like a December Daily kit. If you aren't familiar with December Daily, I will. It's something that Edwards has done for 11 or 12 years probably, and I will link her info to December Daily below. Um, and so that you can just kind of see what it's all about. It's a pretty great project. So anyway, so now I'm starting to glue stuff down. So I went ahead and I glued those two pieces of pattern paper to the right side, and I'm gonna go, put that house there. I've kind of decided that I really am pretty much finished with my um, design for the page. So now I'm just gonna add fun little things. So this says "Joy is," and I'm using some of that same paper that I have over on the right side, and I'm gonna make a little flag out of that, and put it on my tag. If you watched the first title page, you'll know that my theme kind of for the year is joy. So the theme for my December daily is finding joy, and so I thought adding this stamp to this page was perfect because joy is exactly what you see there in that picture. She is joyful. The incident, what we were doing was joyful, um, and so it was a good time. A good time was had by all. So anyway, I'm sorry that the bottom of my papers are kind of off camera there, and so there are a couple things I'm going to do down at the bottom that you might not be able to see right away, but you'll be able to see them in a little bit, and I promise it actually does get better, especially when I start to show the second page. So what I'm doing here is these alphas came in the kit, the click kit, and I pulled off U, N, and O to write the word Uno at the bottom. And now I'm gluing down my journaling and I'm kind of centering it. I'm not being perfect about it at all. In general, I'm centering it. And I'm centering the little house. I'm going to put the number 1 over the top. So it has number 1, but it also says Uno. I knew I needed a little something else. I was just kind of looking to see if there was something else I could add to it. So things weren't straight. I'm straightening things out. And then what I did was I found this piece. It's the same color. I needed to bring some more of that pink over to the left side. So I decided to put that as a layer behind my photo. And that really tied the room together, as they say, if you watch The Big Lebowski. It tied the two pages together and um, made it work for me a little bit better. So, and then what I'm adding at the very bottom is a little flag. I think it says "It's a Wonderful Life." I glued that down, and then I went ahead and I stitched through all of that journaling. You'll be able to see it a little bit better in the close-ups. I stitched through, when I cut my journaling into strips, I left the bottom white, it was a little thicker underneath, like a white space at the bottom, so that I could underline the journaling kind of with some stitching. I wanted to add that little design element. These are um, little puffy stickers that come in the click kit, and I added a few stars, I think like 3 stars to the page. And then I am pretty much finished. There's my traveler's notebook, and now I'm going to get it ready to start my second page. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to glue my title page down, or not glue it down, but glue that page right there to my title page like that. And then I'm also going to glue for day 2, that's the day we decorated the Christmas tree. And so I wanted a full 8.25 by 4.25 photograph. There it is right there. And so I'm just going to go ahead and glue that to the back of the second page of page 1. Does that make sense? I hope. I think it will when you see it in the album. And then I'll go ahead and poke holes with my crocodile, and I'll be ready to start page 2. But before I start page 2, I'm going to show you the close-ups of page 1, and then it'll go right into page 2 here in just a second. That was just kind of my little prep work. Um, there's page 1 together, and that's what page 2 is starting to look like. So here come the close-ups for page 1. First of all, you're going to see what the journaling looks like. So you can see kind of some of that stitching that I did. I also stitched through the word Uno. And then on this page, I stitched through that tag, and I stitched through the tag right up there above the picture. And that's pretty much what that looks like. And now let's move on to day 2. So for day 2, I had to retype my journaling. So, excuse me. I apologize, my voice. I've been fighting something off. I don't really know what it is, but I'm all congested, and I have, it's kind of that December thing if you live in Iowa, I guess. So once again for day 2, just like I did on my title page, I'm putting my journaling on a tag, and I'm making the tag using my Big Shot here. And it doesn't work. You're going to see me kind of go with my hands here in a second, and I have to redo it. So I just went ahead and redid it off camera. Let's see. So I have a few things laid out that I might use. So I have those little, that's where I'm like, okay, fine, I guess I have to redo this. So I did. I have those little trees that come from Color Cast Designs, and then a few pieces of ephemera that come in the click kit. And then that little glassine bag comes in the click kit. And when I first went through the kit and I was going through the ephemera, I knew that I wanted to use that right there. It says all the twinkle lights, and I knew I wanted to use that on my page for the tree page. So I'm kind of layering that so you can see the one that I did yesterday. The day 1 little banner is kind of overlapping. So I have all of these. I was really satisfied right there because I found that piece of flair. I have all these flare buttons from a Flair for Buttons, and that piece of flair was perfect for me. Okay, so this is day 2, right? And if you remember, on day 1, I used Uno. So I'm kind of cheesy sometimes, right? Well, on this day, it's day 2, and that piece of flair has 2 birds on it. And they happen to be cardinals. And I don't know if you know the story about cardinals and how they're supposedly a sign of a loved one who has passed on that is visiting you. And so when you put together a Christmas tree in my house and you're going through ornaments, there's so many ornaments that have such sentimental values and so many memories and all of that. So it's kind of an emotional day if you're emotional anyway. And so it was a little emotional for me. I might have shed a few tears during it, and not because I was frustrated because there weren't enough lights, but because I was reliving things, being sad, missing dad, and other people who have passed. And so when I found that piece of flair, I was like, oh, that is just perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So I wanted to use that. So let me share my journaling for day 2. My journaling says, so many stories and memories are housed in the boxes of ornaments that we pull out each year. We revisit the memories and treasures one at a time. Some ornaments from my childhood or gifts from students, some made at home or school, and some purchased to remember important milestones. This year we resurrected the tradition of stringing cranberries and popcorn. This tradition was introduced to me by Doug and Beth McBride, and we do it most years. Our stained and sore fingers are worth it for the beauty and memories made. And so that journaling is hidden journaling kind of behind the photograph of a close-up of the string of cranberries and popcorn. So what I did here is I took that frame that was a piece of ephemera and I put some vellum behind it first, and then I put a little bit of red pattern paper. It was just a scrap from one of the, you'll see that paper show up as a full page later actually. So I put that under there and then added the number 2 above that. And then, of course, my piece of flair from Flair for Buttons. Some of that same red paper is right there underneath the picture as just a layer behind the photo there. And now I'm just gluing everything down. I add a few of those little trees that I got from Color Cast Designs, those little wood veneer trees, which I think are really cute. And they match that paper perfectly. If you can see, you'll be able to see it a little bit better in the close-ups here too, but it matches perfectly. And I loved that that worked out. So I'm just layering a few things behind my photo, adding 2 trees on the right and 1 tree on the left. And then I'm trying to think what else I do here. I did add a little messy stitching on the tag that has my journaling, just to add another little element of red on the page. And also I just like the messiness. Another thing that I toyed with the idea of moving the 2 over. I think I left that in. You might see me do that here in a second. But I do end up adding thread behind my flare button, and then I think maybe behind my photo too. I can't remember. Yeah, behind the trees, behind my photo. I add a little bit. It just adds another pop of color of red, and it adds to the messiness. And I'm not really using a lot of mixed media here, or any mixed media actually so far. I haven't used any on in my December daily yet. And I usually paint, right? So I don't have to paint, but it's kind of nice to have a few messy elements because it's really kind of more my style. So I rip things and I have a lot of texture whenever I can. So I like these little wood veneers because they have adhesive on the back, which is kind of nice. I don't have to worry about getting out anything to try to get that to stay down. So I liked the idea of having one little tree of wood veneer on the left. Ties the left and the right together a little bit more. I also really like layering over the photo when it's appropriate. And it was in both of these cases, so that's kind of nice. What else? Oh, I really wanted to use, I really thought I would use these lights on the picture with the lights, but it just didn't work. And I'm kind of sticking as simple, even though I wouldn't necessarily say I'm a simple scrapbooker. But I'm saying probably more simple than I am in my regular scrapbooking. And part of that is because traveler's notebooks are new to me. I love them. I admire them. I've never, until maybe this summer, really gotten into them very much. So working in a smaller format is new to me. And so as I'm learning how to work in this format, which I'm liking, um, it ends up being a little simpler, which I'm not so sure it has to be, but that's what it's working out to be for me at this point. So I'm fussing with that thread a little bit, but I'm almost done here. And then for finishing touch, I thought, it needs just a little something else. And I didn't want to use up all of my puffy stickers because I want to use them throughout the whole album. And so I think I add 1 or 2 puffy stickers, stars maybe on this. But then I wanted something else. So I ended up finding this sequins in my stash, and I think it was from last Christmas. And it was Spiegel Mom Scraps, and it has some red and some white and some black in it. And I think I end up using, or it might be navy blue, I'm not sure. I end up using mostly red and a few white. And I sped this up because I don't know about you, but I love using sequins, but it sticks to me like the static and so on. And so it takes me a while to apply it because I'm having to try to get it to stay off my fingers and things. So this is the last thing I do before the close-ups. So the close-ups are coming here in a few seconds. And what you're going to see in the close-ups are just a couple. My journaling and a little close up of what the little cluster looks like that's on the Christmas tree page. And then there it is right there. And then on the other side, my flare button from A Flare for Buttons. And I will link the information to all of my supplies below. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you in my next video.